heat transfer vinyl with our Siser Juliete machine. Now, the glow vinyl will be using a couple different varieties, so you can kind of see how the different ones cut. And you can do the same. You can use the glow materials in whichever electronic cutter you have. So if you're using a Cricut or a Silhouette or a Siser, you can use this material in all of your digital cutters. So with your Juliet, you have a software design program called Leonardo. Now, with Leonardo, it's great. You can design in the Leonardo studio, or you can choose to upload images if you want. Today, I'm doing a bit of a heavy upload, so that's what we added into the chat were the links to all of the images that we're using today. So why don't we start off with a real simple design. Now in the interest of time, I did cut out most everything and I've got it weeded and ready to go to show you how it cuts and how it goes through. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're just going to cut out a simple little ghost. The first one we'll do is using the Leonardo images in the Leonardo studio, and then the other ones we'll do are uploads, and they're all uploads from a website called Creative Fabrica. So let me grab my desktop here and I'll share my screen with you and we'll get started. Is it sharing? It looks like it's.
I see a blank screen here.
That's what I see too. Let me just look here. Yeah, I see a blank screen as well. That is not good. We never had that happen. Let's try again.
Sometimes that happens if you share your entire window. You might just want to share a tab.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, perfect. So this is what the Leonardo Design Studio looks like. And we have done tutorials on navigating the design studio. If you're not super familiar with that, those are on Michael's YouTube channel. So we're just going to go right down to the design tab and get started. Now I went ahead and uploaded a bunting onto my page just to get the right design and the shape that I wanted. And then I'm going to go into the Leonardo Design Studio, Design Library. Let's see. That's not going there for me. Interesting. All right, let me try this another step down. This should be the library that has all of the images in it. All right. Interesting, guys. So sorry. This is very bizarre. Oh, here we go. Okay. My computer must just be slow today. It knows it's close to the weekend. So in the design studio, you have a whole bunch of different types of designs that you can use. And you can just either do a word search and find an image that you want to use. So if you wanted to do a little ghost, since we're getting close to Halloween and we're using some different vinyl designs, we can pick out a ghost that we can add to our page. Now, there's lots of these little line drawing ghosts, so let's go ahead and add one of those. Let's see. I think I'll use this little guy here. He's kind of the joyful ghost. So then we'll go ahead and open that in design on your canvas to design it. With the design in your canvas here, you can resize it using the dots on the side. So I can just kind of make sure that that's the right size that I want. Now, the ghost looks like it's two colors. So it looks like it's white and the black outline. The black outline is what I'll be cutting today. So I'm not going to cut my banner, my bunting. I already have that done, but I wanted to have that there so I could resize the little ghost there. On the right side, we're going to just send this design to our cutter, and we're going to make sure that we're sending all of the work that fits on the page, and it will move each color to a different page here. So you can see that if I just want the outline of the ghost, I can select the black lines. If I want the inside part of the ghost, I could select the white. For what I'm working on, my bunting, I'm just going to use the outline of the ghost. So we'll line him up. Now, this bottom left corner is where your blade will start to cut. So if you put him over here and you put your material right here in this bottom left corner, I guess bottom left corner, and have no material over here, it won't automatically re-register it to a starting point. So it will automatically put it in this starting point. That's where we're going to start to cut with. Now on the properties side here on the right, you'll be using a standard blade, and you can modify the speed and the force. So I found that a speed of 5 and a force of between 20 and 30 was what I needed for the Make Market heat transfer vinyl, actually really any of the vinyls. The 20 was really a good force to use. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that to 20. And then this image is going to be mirrored because I'm using a heat transfer material. Now the ghost really could go either direction, but I'm going to go ahead and mirror that ghost. And then I'm going to add what's called an auto weed box. So this makes it a little bit easier to weed out your design because it puts that box right around your design. Now, before I send it over to my cutter, I need to go to my overhead and get my material set up. So let me stop sharing here and we can transfer over to the overhead camera, and then you guys can see how I set up my material on my mat here. So I'm using the high tack mat. For this, there's a high tack and a low tack. I pretty much use the high tack for almost everything. Now, some different types of glow materials you have. This is the Cricut iron-on, and it tends to be a little bit yellow in comparison to the Siser Glow Easy Weed, as well as the Make Market Easy Weed. So these in the lineup of colors, you have what appears to be a white, an off-white, and then more of like a yellow green. So I'm going to use the Siser Easy Weed, and I'm going to I can either put this whole piece into my machine or use the mat. And for this project, I'm going to go ahead and use the mat. Now, my little ghostie's kind of small, so I don't need very much material on my mat here. So I'll just trim that down. And I'm going to line my material up, if I can get that in the picture, on the bottom of the mat. So remember, when we sent this over to cut, the little ghost was in this bottom corner, and that's where it's going to start cutting. So that's where you get your blade started. Now, sometimes my mat is a bit finicky with me, so I will take a little piece of masking tape and just make sure that my material is not going to slide on me. You don't have to do this. Usually your mat should be tacky enough to hold your material down. So I'm just doing it to be extra cautious here. Now, the way that I like to load my mat, there is a lever on the back of your machine. So I pull the lever. So you push the lever down to get started. It's the opposite of the way I always think. And where your blade is, where the tip of your blade is, kind of like where this dot is here, that's where you want this bottom left corner of your material to be, because that's where it's going to start cutting. That's where my ghost is positioned, and that's where it's going to start cutting. So I'm going to line up my material in my cutter where that little dot is, so that's the corner, starting corner. If I push my material up like this, it will start to cut right there, right where that is. So just know that when you put your material in, you want that bottom left corner of your material underneath where your blade is. Once you're happy with your position, just go back to that lever and we're going to push the lever down again. Then I'm going to share my screen one more time. And see that little ghost is right down there in that left corner. Then I just say send to the cutter, and it will confirm that I'm going to use a force of 20 and a speed of 5. Yes, that's correct. And as soon as I hit yes, my cutter will start registering my design and begin to cut my design out. So I'm just going to, so I don't forget which material I'm using, I'll just wrap that back up in the packaging. But remember that the Siser packaging also has your application instructions. So it says if you're using a home iron, you're going to press firmly for 10 to 15 seconds. I'm using a press. So I have my press set at 315 degrees, and I will press for that 10 to 15 seconds. All right, so we'll go ahead and put that there. While this is cutting out, and it's going a little bit slow, that's what I wanted. If anybody has any questions, you can feel free to pop those in the chat, and I can answer those questions for you as we move along. Some other material I'll be using today while this is cutting is the Make Market, this iridescent, a holographic material. Now this is a really interesting one, so I think we'll have some fun with that. And then we have the Make Market glow in the dark, these 3 colors. We have a t-shirt with these and a nice little pot holder with the glow in the dark Make Market design. Now Siser also has 4 or 5 different colors of the glow in the dark material. So, you know, you have lots and lots of options on your glow in the dark, what you want to use and what you can use. Once these have come out, oh, here we go. Now, once I'm ready to unload my material, I just go back, push down, and I pull my mat out, and I can just remove my little tape. It's stuck there, so it did the job I wanted it to do. So we'll just kind of pull that off, and then we'll weed out our design here. So as you can see, maybe not yet, there is a weeding box around my design. And if I remove the weeding box, it certainly will make it so much easier for me to weed out my design. And if you remember, I'm just using the outline of this design. So I'll just go in and take out the middle part of my design, making sure the little eyes and the mouth stay on my little fellow there. So see how easy that is to weed? You'll appreciate this when we get to the holographic. All right, and then we'll just trim this down so he's ready to go, and I can weed out the rest of my design. Now for this design was for a bunting. And if you've been in your Michaels recently, in the Halloween section, they have this amazing collection of garlands. I don't know what you call them, but like the little decorations that you use on your mantle or something like that. And we are going to make an accessory to go under that. So you can use your heat transfer vinyl to create home decor. You can also, so we're going to put this on felt, and you can also use heat transfer vinyl on wood, lots of different surfaces, wood, slate, fabrics, like we're going to do felt here. Obviously we do fabrics on our shirts and everything, but I'm just going to trim out each of these different designs. This is to create this word, the Hey Boo, I used the Hey Boo font, that I shared with you from Creative Fabrica. And you just load that font onto your computer, and then it will show up in the Leonardo Studio. So you can just, decorate and design with that till your heart's desire. I think that's a really fun font. Let me just kind of push that out of the way. Now, I had that bunting on my design, and I cut this out of cardstock so that I had a paper template. You can actually cut out felt on the Leonardo. You just need to make sure that your blade is deep enough to cut into the felt, and then you can cut out a felt design. I just used my scissors because I needed to go quickly and it wasn't very intricate. So all I need to do is take my little friends here, and we're just going to put them on black felt. And you don't have to cut it out first. You could put your design on felt and then trim it out if you wanted to. So we're just going to put those on. Each one will go on a piece of black. And then my hay, we'll put that on pink. And our boo, we'll put that on orange. Once you have all of your pieces positioned where you want them, we're going to go over to the press. Now I do have the press. It is heating up for me at 315 degrees. You can do this with a home iron if you don't have a press, or if you have like a Cricut Easy Press, you can do it with your Cricut Easy Press as well. And then what I loved about this particular, the Siser Easy Weed Glow in the Dark, is that it looks white. So when you have it out during the day, it'll appear white. And then at night, it will convert and be glow in the dark. Okay, so let's go over to our heat press here, and I'll show you how we do that. So this is set to 315 degrees for 15 seconds. I'm just putting each of my little felt medallions or bunting pieces into the heat press. And I'll do my hay boo first. What I like to do, just to be a little proactive, is I'll put this Teflon sheet over my designs. The heat will go through, it won't cause a problem. And then we'll just close that up. It's a clamshell. I'm sorry, it's not a clamshell. A clamshell opens like that. So the Cricut Auto Press is a clamshell. This is just a press. So it's a drawer press. So it just goes in and goes on top. Siser has a really good press as well. If you're looking for a press, or again, like I mentioned, you can use any of the your home iron or an auto press. All right, so I'm just going to move these over here to cool. They are hot, so you want to be careful. You don't burn yourself. I don't think you really would with something like this, but you never know. Got to be extra cautious. And then we'll grab our little ghosts here and put those on our tray. And we'll give those a nice little press, 15 seconds. Now, some material you will take off the plastic sheet when it's hot, and some material will tell you to take it off when it's cool. So always check your instructions on when you should peel off your little plastic piece. If you do it when it's cool, a cool press or a hot press. All right. And then once these are done, you can decide how you want to add your holes to them. If you want to do like eyelets, and then you could string them up onto your bunting. If you wanted to do just punch holes in it, you could do that. If you wanted to do buttons, you could add some buttons to the tops, would be really cute. However you would like to do it. I'm just peeling this right off, and it's coming off. I do tend to, usually I like to do this on a flat surface so that I don't wrinkle my iron-on material as I'm removing it from my bunting. I think this is a little bit longer than I was expecting. Here we go. All right, so if we want to go back on the overhead, you can see how my bunting is coming together. There we go. And then I'll just string it together and add it to one of the micro buntings that has like the ribbons, or there was a disco ball one. I thought I got it today because it was so cute. I'm not sure what I did with it. I thought I had it right here with me, but I don't. So anyway, so that's all you have to do. And then at night, this will glow in the dark, which is really fun. Okay, so that's the first one. Then let's talk a little bit about another type of material, which is the holographic material. So when you're working with the holographic material, it actually has like 3 parts to it. When you work with any type of heat transfer material, it will have a clear carrier sheet, which is this, the clear carrier sheet, and then your material. Mostly the material on the backside, this is where your adhesive is, and then you have your, your material the good side of your material. Holographic material sort of has 3 layers, and they peel apart very easily. So this is what the overall design is intended to look like. When I take this off, there are bits of the holographic material that are left on my carrier sheet. It's hard to see because they're very clear. You can see that. There's no adhesive on the back of the sheet. So this, when I press it, that material is not going to press onto my bag. It's only where, see that how that has the holographic on there? It's only where the white is that has the actual adhesive on it. So I cut this one with the same settings as my other glow in the dark materials. And I really wasn't happy with how it separated so much. So I thought, I think this is a better material than it's behaving like it is. So I went ahead and I cut it again. And it's a very intricate cut, has lots of parts and pieces to it. And I added a little bit more pressure to the design. So I did this with a force of 30, where I had done this with a force of 20. So when you find something doesn't cut exactly as you expected, you can always go back and recut it. And the Siser software has this great, this nice little test cut that it can do in the corner, which I actually, let me see if I can find the piece. I took it off already. I had taken that, I had done a test cut and it seemed to cut okay, but then it really separated. Okay, so back at my heat press here, I'm gonna press this design onto this bag. And the first thing I'm gonna do is put this back in my heat press and just give it a 15-second, not even that long, like a 5-second press. Because you wanna, when you're putting heat transfer vinyl on material, you want to make sure there's no moisture in the material. If there's any moisture in the material, your heat transfer vinyl might not stick as onto your garment. So by doing a press like that, it allows you to get any moisture out of your garment. And then you can just take your design, and I'll use the center of the heart on the center of my bag. And this now can become a very cute, very demure little trick-or-treat bag if you wanted to. Now for this one, I can use my Teflon sheet on top of it if I felt like I needed to, but I don't really feel like I need to because this material it's just a generic material. Like the felt can be a little scratchy, so I can just put this on. I've got my carrier sheet is covering everything up. I have nothing exposed. Just gonna pop that in 15 seconds and you'll have a trick-or-treat bag. So very fun. All right. So this one again, the holographic, we're gonna take it out. And you wanna just let it kind of cool off just a little bit. I don't like to peel it right away because it is so hot. I'll just give it a little test corner and see if it's not stuck down all the way, I'll put it back in for another 10 seconds or so. But it certainly is coming up in just a few places here. So let's let it settle down. We'll let it just kind of do its magic. If you have something cold, you can roll over it. That does help cool it down a bit. I always get, excited to see what I've designed, but you can take something that's cold and run it over it and get it to cool a little bit faster if you're anxious to get it, to peel it up and see what it looks like. So we're just taking it right off. So some of my little stars are coming up off the sheet. So I'm just going to throw it back in there. See what's happening over it. Yeah. I'm going to put it back in for another 15 seconds and we will just pop that up and then I'll show you while that's heating up what our next project is, because this one is so cute. I have this little pot holder and it's the kind with like the two hands that you can put both sides in the oven. And I cut out these cute little skeleton hands. So as you take your item out of the oven, it'll have little Halloween hands on it. So I thought this was really fun. Now, this has a quilted design on it. So I'm going to press it a little bit longer to make sure that it sticks in there. And we'll just do one side at a time. So I'll press it for about 10 or 15 minutes longer, seconds. Now, if you're doing this at home with an iron, you can certainly give it a little bit extra, pressure, or your easy press, you can do it a little bit more pressure. So I'll swap these around. Let this one cool off a little bit more and we'll do one side of this at a time. So again, I'm just going to put one side in. And on this one, I'm going to use my Teflon towel. So we'll put my Teflon sheet here and I'll set my time for a little bit more, like 25 seconds. And that will just make sure that it gets in those quilted spots or anything like that. We'll pop that right in there. Now I did press this ahead of time, knowing that we were going to have our class today. So I wanted to make sure that that was ready to go. So I did do a press ahead of time on that. All right, and I'm just working on this little design here and the holographic to come off. If any little designs any little pieces are still coming up, as you can see, that little star there wants to come up, I'm going to give it one more press. And sometimes like having the handles like this little bulky part here can make it so that your press doesn't push down all the way. So if you notice, a lot of these little spots are up at the top here. And that's where you may have to go back in with an iron that will let you just get like right there and not be trying to get up on the top. I do try and do it at like an angle, at a 45-degree angle as I move it. Make sure that it all comes off okay. So isn't that fun? Even without having the glow in the dark part of it, I think that is so cute. All right, and here we have our skeletons coming out. So we'll let that sit there for a second and cool off. This one is done with the Make Market glow in the dark. So we'll just put that right on there. I'm going to leave this side still with the press on it. And we'll just put this one back into the press on the other side. Put my Teflon sheet on top of it, 25 seconds, and away it goes. Now, the next one we have, while that one's heating up and cooling off, is a t-shirt for you. So the t-shirt design is just a fun one to, if you wear your t-shirt designs to school or anything like that. It's a really fun design to use. I did use all the 3 colors of the different glow in the dark material. And when you see it in the glow with the glow in the dark material, it really looks super fun. So let's do that like quick 10-second press on the shirt, get any moisture out. I've got my hot mitts here. Very cute. So I'm just gonna give this like a 10-second little press there. And I'm gonna show you one trick I have when you're lining up your designs. Sometimes it's hard to line up your design on your shirt. So what my trick is, I like to fold my shirt in half. So I'll just take my collar here and fold that in half and find the center of my shirt this way, matching up your armpits and everything. We'll just fold that right in half. And then I'll put that back into my press. And it will give me a line right down the center of my shirt. So that when I go to put my design on my shirt, it's right down the center of the shirt. So that makes it very easy to find where the center goes of your design. And then when you press it flat, that seam kind of comes out. All right, so I'm just going to set this aside for 1 second. We'll go back to the overhead and let's reveal our little hands here. I was thinking this would be really cute too if you had like a black blanket to use. You could put the little hands on a blanket as if you've got like a skeleton giving you a hug. So here we go. And again, if anything's coming up, I would put it back in. And there we go. So there is our, I love that. There's our skeleton mitts. They go like that. So if you're taking a casserole out of the oven or anything like that, you've got a cute little design there to work with. Okay, so my shirt has cooled off just a smidge. Now I get a lot of questions. Do you wash your shirt before making on it, or do you wait until afterwards? If I'm making this as a gift for somebody, I will I will not wash it. I will let them do the washing. So I just put it on as I just put the design on as normal, as intended. So this little guy here says, "'Tis the season." Let me think how this goes. To be goes on the inside here. So I've got this little bite out of the bee, so that's going to set right in the center, like that. And then your "'tis the," you can see I have a little bite out of that S, and that's going to slide right into, oops, is that right? I feel like that's too short. I guess that's how it goes. Okay, there we go. So that's going to line up just like that. "'Tis the season to be spooky." Now I put that all together for a couple reasons. One is so I can find the center of my design. And again, you just fold it in half, just like we did the heart. And I'll put a little crimp there so I know where the center of my design is. And then I'll use a centering tool. Michael's now has these in their in like their sublimation area and everything in the vinyl area. Really a great tool. So I have my center line here, and I just can line up my center here, and then I look at my left and right shoulders as to where that goes. The top of my design is usually 2 to 3 fingers down from the collar. So if I'm doing like a child shirt, I might just go 2 fingers. if I'm doing an extra large, I may go 4 or even 5 fingers down from the collar. But for a small or medium size, 3 fingers seems to be about right. So I gave it the 3-finger mark, and I'm just gonna line up the center of my design. I have that little notch there, and the center of my design down at the bottom here. So I've got it right down there and right at the top. So the first layer I'm going to put down is that season to be spooky. So we're just going to put that whole layer down and press just that one layer. Now this is going to be a quick press because we will be pressing this 2 to 3 more or 1 to 2 more times. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the first press with just this. Let me get that out of there. And I'll do it short, quick time. So it'll be like, it'll only be about 10 seconds. Now I can take my ruler and line up and make sure I have the same distance between the end here and about the ends of each of there. So you just can kind of keep lining it up that way. So we'll go back over to our heat press. And again, this is just going to be a quick 10 seconds in the heat press. I don't want to get the whole time going because I just want it to, oops, wrong button. I just want it to like hold on to it so that I can remove the clear piece on top of it and then add the next 2 colors. So 10 seconds should do it for me. And I'm just going to really carefully peel it off the shirt. And then we'll layer on the next 2 colors on top of that. So that's on there. We're going to let it cool just for a second. I'll use my little cooling. This is just like an empty glass jar. Just tends to be a little colder. I wouldn't do something. If you need to, you could grab like a butter jar, a butter container out of the refrigerator, or something like that. If you need to, really, if you're feeling in a rush. And then I'm just going to kind of roll my carrier sheet off of my design and sort of hold down as I go. I do tend to hold my design down as I go anyway, but because I've used such a short press time, I really want to make sure that it adheres to my shirt and it doesn't stretch out. So I'm just going to pull it off like that. And again, I do it at like a 45-degree angle on my shirt. So we're just going to pull that down just like this. And that's on there. That is not going anywhere. No little pieces came off or anything like that. Now for the next part, we're just going to apply these pieces into the center. Sometimes I like to take my scissors and trim down my design because I don't want to put a line in my other vinyl. So I'm just going to trim this down really close along the vinyl lines here. So it'll fit right in to the design. I already know that little notch is going to be my lineup piece. And I can just tuck that right in. So we're just going to go the 2B. It's going to go right there. If I want to, that's okay right there. All right, so that's going to go right there, 2B. And then we have Tiz that's going to go on the top of our design. So again, I'll do the same kind of little really close cut in here. And we'll have a little bit of overlap where my spider is, because his little leg tucks right in. All right, and then we'll just have our little spider right there. And I'm just going to make sure it's lined up and then back over the press. Now this one, since I have exposed iron-on material in my press, for this one, my pink vinyl is exposed. So I don't want that to have the heat directly on it. And I will use my Teflon sheet, which fell. the Teflon sheet will go right on top of that design. So that way I don't have the heat directly on the design. If you're doing this with, say, a home iron, you will want to put like a iron press or something like that between your your vinyl and your iron. You do not want to use a home iron directly on your vinyl. With the carrier sheet, you've got that protective shield. You don't have to worry about it. But without the carrier sheet, you have nothing. So you want to make sure you have something in between there. And I guess I accidentally turned this off. So we'll get it back on. I guess I turned it off, so it's got to heat back up a minute. If anybody had any questions, it's a good time to ask your questions. Just to go over the materials again, I used Siser glow in the dark for our my banner. I used the Make Market glow in the dark for the gloves, the Make Market holographic glow in the dark for this, and then our t-shirts were made out of the 3 different colors here. And I'm hoping, it is dark outside, so I'm hoping I can turn off my lights in a second here once everything's all done and we can see how it turned out. So I'll just kind of spread these out in anticipation of that. And here we go. Put that down. So I'm just gonna go, while that's finishing up, I'm gonna go turn off my lights and so we can see how everything glows. I'm gonna keep my phone with me so I have something to see. There we go. I don't know if that gets us dark enough to get the glow in the dark effect. Okay, you can see. It's not quite like turn off my, let's close that up. There we go. I think that's really fun. All right. Well, that is everything I had for tonight. And I really appreciate you guys being here with me and going through all these fun projects. If you make a project, please do share it on Learn with Michaels. Tag Learn with Michaels on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, or anything like that. I hope this gives you guys some inspiration, and I can't wait to see what you create.
Thank you, everyone.